Right, what is up, fellow rejects? It's your old pal Geezy here, currently locked up on an Imperial penal vessel for trying to sell bootleg Sororitas feet pics. And this 40K goodness you're seeing behind me right now, this is Warhammer Darktide. You're like me all the way back in 2018 playing Vermintide 2 thinking, man, this would be like so much better if it was like the better Warhammer and there were guns. Well, 4 years later, Fatshark has followed up with exactly that. Full disclosure, Fatshark actually asked me to be a Darktide creator, sent me a copy of the game. All of my thoughts and opinions here are my own, just to let you guys know. That being said, Fatshark, thank you so much for giving me a copy of the game and letting me do this. I really, really appreciate it. So Darktide starts off with your created character being locked up in the holding cells of a prison ship that comes under attack, conveniently opening your cell in the ensuing chaos. Instead of doing the big dumb and joining the invaders, you choose to help an injured Inquisitor escape with other Imperial forces, giving you an out from your prison cell and a foot in the door serving the Inquisition on the Morningstar. It's still 40k though, so nothing is all sunshine and daisies. You'll start from the bottom of the totem pole, slowly proving your worth as you level your character up and gain the trust of your superiors and those around you, and thusly allowing you to access more missions, better gear, and the ability to upgrade all your gear, etc, etc. Speaking of starting from nothing, let's take a look at the 4 starting classes that you can pick from. First off, we've got the Veteran, standard Space Marine that isn't a 40k Space Marine. Great with ranged weapons, has an incredibly handy frag grenade, you see what I did there? And is really, really good for thinning out hordes of heretics as they rush towards your group. Definitely start with this guy if you want to play the game like a standard first-person shooter. Next up, we've got the Psycher. Toughest class to play right now, at least until Fatshark, makes some more changes and everything. Essentially, your crazy space mage using mind powers. Has a focus on the admittedly metal as fuck Psycher abilities like Brain Blast. You just literally popping people's heads like grapes with your mind. But by using that, you open yourselves up to the actual perils of the warp. So every time that you use those abilities, your peril meter goes up, adding one more thing for you to worry about. With low toughness compared to other classes, as well as like not any sort of buffs for weapons, this is definitely like a veteran Vermintide / also play a long range class. Next up, we've got the big buff sexy boy that is the Ogryn. Ogrins are both your big beefy tank as well as your emergency healer, since the enemy attacks don't interrupt reviving a downed teammate when you're playing as an Ogryn. You can and definitely should go charging into crowds of enemies, bowling them over, making it easy for the rest of your squad to come mop them up as they try to get up. And once you finally unlock the ability to have a shield, you can actually block incoming fire for your teammates to move to better positions and everything. In my opinion, the Ogryn actually works best as a frontline character, especially when paired up with the last class, the Zealot. The Zealot's actually my personal favorite, a religious nut who fights with the fury of the belief in the God Emperor. A whirling dervish of melee attacks, second only to the Ogryn in toughness, but with much, much better speed. The Zealot class, you basically just need to be going non-stop combat. Highly melee focused with extra buffs for melee and just charging into combat like the Ogryn. Unlike the Ogryn, though, you have access to a lot of the ranged weapons and everything, so you can help your other squad members cut down, the oncoming hordes of enemies before you then rush in with your class ability and just start wasting everybody with a chainsword. Now that we've run through the story, the intro of the story and the classes, let's talk about items and gameplay. There are a ton of different ranged and melee weapons to choose from, as well as 3 slots for stat boosting curios, all of which can and should be upgraded once you unlock the ability to do so over at the Omnissiah booth. This is definitely a co-op focused game. You should not be running around like a lone wolf, because there's actually a couple mechanics that encourage you to do so. Your toughness, which is essentially your shield, recharges much faster the more members of your squad that you're actually around, as well as each class has a squad cohesion ability that, as you guessed it, only activates when you're around your squad. It's also stupid easy to get cut off and overwhelmed if you decide to run off and do a little solo sightseeing, maybe go off and fight that little squad of guys, not knowing that they've got 40 friends behind the corner. So unless you really want all of your fellow rejects to just absolutely hate you, having to come back and rescue your ass all the time, teamwork makes the Emperor's dream. Movement, fairly fast, pretty tight. Obviously, some characters like the Ogren feel like they move just a slight bit slower. Everybody does kind of move about the same. You do have a sprint. There is also a wonderful dodge mechanic that if you're especially like playing somebody like the Zealot or the Ogren and running into hordes of enemies, you need to be dodging around and blocking as many attacks as you can to make sure that you're just not getting wasted all out there by yourself. Gun and melee combat is superb, with wonderfully bombastic and visceral feedback from all the ranged weapons, as well as weapons like the chain axe, chain sword, thunder hammer, things like that actually have a weight to them. This crazy feeling. Every single bit of recoil is just as big as you would expect it on something like a bolter. The flame effects and sound of you just hitting a heavy flamer and just melting an entire sea of heretics is just chef's kiss. The visuals are equally as stunning, with Fatshark having really shown off their love and understanding of the setting of 40K. From rusty derelict factoriums to shockingly sunny outdoor desert sections to the obligatory giant space cathedrals, all of it looks great, if unfortunately just a little bit samey sometimes. I think that has to do with just 40K being a lot of grimdark, everything's a factory, Hive City. You can really only do so much with the setting sometimes. The game is run fairly well on my setup, which is still a fairly high-end gaming PC. The only major issues I've had, at least in the beta so far, was some weird server connection issues where I could actually log into the game but couldn't get placed in any matches. Thankfully, that was about a week ago that really last happened, and it hasn't happened since, so hopefully there won't be any issues like that going forward. In my 25 plus hours of playing Darktide so far, I still catch myself laughing like a little kid with a stupid grin on my face as I just dump a 15-round bolter mag into an endless sea of the Nurgle-loving heretics coming at me. The wild recoil just blapping the gun all back into my arm with each shot. The cacophony of both the blast and then the rocket explosion of the rounds hitting, just absolutely, just filling the space. Then followed by the revving of my chainsword as I just scream about the Emperor's fury rushing forward to mop everything up. And all of my squad mates doing this exact same thing as we just absolutely crush the seas of the heretics in front of us. It's pretty sick. It's an incredible experience, and I think all Warhammer fans, as well as co-op shooter fans in general, should go check it out. So thank you guys for making it all the way through the video. Please like and subscribe if you like content like this and everything, if you want to support me. Please also be sure to come check out my Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/rxgz54. If you're watching this the day I put it out, which should either be the 29th or the 30th, come check out my stream on the 30th, where we'll be playing a bunch of Darktide, as well as I'll be giving away 2 more copies of the base game to subscribers to my Twitch. So yeah, if you haven't had a chance to pick up the game yet, stop by and drop your boy a sub for a chance to win one. Alright, till next time guys, may the Emperor's light guide you.